Sahana Bhavatu Sahana Punatu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Together we chant Bhagavad Gita, chapter 10, verses 11 to 20.
अहमज्ञानजं तमः नाशयाम्यात्मभावस्थः ज्ञानदीपेन भास्वता। अर्जुन उवाच परं ब्रह्म परं धाम पवित्रं परमं भवान् पुरुषं शाश्वतं दिव्यम् आदिदेवमजं विभुम् आहुस्त्वामृषयः सर्वे देवर्षिर्नारदस्तथा असितो देवलो व्यासः स्वयं चैव ब्रवीषि मे सर्वमेतदृतं मन्ये यन्मां वदसि केशव न हि ते भगवन् व्यक्तिं विदुर्देवान दानवाः स्वयमेवात्मनात्मानं वेत्थत्वं पुरुषोत्तम भूतभावन भूतेश देवदेव जगत्पते वक्तुमर्हस्य शेषेण दिव्या ह्यात्मविभूतयः याभिर्विभूतिभिर्लोकान् इमां त्वं व्याप्य तिष्ठसि कथं विद्यामहं योगिन् त्वां सदा परिचिन्तयन् केषु केषु च भावेषु चिन्त्योऽसि भगवन्मया विस्तरेणात्मनो योगं विभूतिं च जनार्दन भूयः कथय तृप्तिर्हि शृण्वतो नास्ति मे मृतम्। श्रीभगवानुवाच हन्त ते कथयिष्यामि दिव्या ह्यात्मविभूतयः प्राधान्यतः कुरु श्रेष्ठः नास्त्यन्तो विस्तरस्य मे अहमात्मा गुडाकेश सर्वभूताशयस्थितः अहमादिश्च मध्यं च भूतानामन्त एव च।
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Well, weird. Looks like the electricity is gone, but this seems to be on.
Janki ji, sorry, could we open the curtains maybe? It's a little dark.
Is this better?
Yes, much better.
Oh, okay. All right. So I don't know how long this will last considering there is no electricity, but we'll take it as it comes, as we always do. So this is a very interesting part of the Bhagavad Gita, which we are currently in, because it really doesn't say anything. You will now read Arjuna and raptures, and up till when Krishna says his first word again, which by the way is the word Hanta. Hanta means alas. You will see that Arjuna is in raptures over Krishna. He's saying, you heard what he said, right? You see from the verse where he starts speaking, from the 12th verse, he said, you are the supreme Brahman, the supreme abode, the supreme purifier, the eternal divine Purusha, God, the unborn, the all-pervading. Ahustvam Rishaya Sarve, all the Rishis, they call you that. Devarshi Naradastatha, the Devarshi, Narad, he also. Asito, Devalo, Vyasaha, all these people, they also acclaim you. Swayam Chaiva Bravishime, and you are telling me so yourself. Not only is it well known, that's category 1, how great a person is. Then great people say he's great. That is category 2 of how great he is. And Krishna himself accepts it. So he also doesn't say, no, you guys are wrong about it. He's also accepting it. So Arjuna is in raptures. And all these verses right up to 17. No, not 17, up to 19. He goes on, carries on about the greatness of Krishna. And how does Krishna start? He'll say in 19, Hanta. Hanta means alas. Here is a student, which is what is interesting to us, because this is a stage in our journey. Here is a student who is attuned to the knowledge, is inspired by the knowledge, agrees with the knowledge. Yes. All of this. But unfortunately, has not changed with the knowledge. How do you know Arjuna has not changed with the knowledge?
No action yet.
No action yet, only talk. But he is inspired, he is attuned, he is all these things. Except he is the same person he always was. And this is a very, very, what should I call it? Should we say it's a sad state? Should we say it's a happy state? I don't know, the judgment you can form. But the fact is, this is the state where a person is sold on the knowledge, sold to the extent that he's willing to tell the whole world to do it. But he has no idea yet what he is to do himself.
It's our state.
Sorry?
Our state.
Our state, okay. We won't speak for anyone, Omkar. But this is a state. This is a state that we will all either come to or have been through at some point. And maybe this state will come multiple times. Because very often in life, you can see more than you can do. You can see how good you should be. You can see how detached you should be. You can see things. but you cannot execute them. And the more you can see, the more you recommend to other people that they should do it without recognizing your own incapacity to execute those very actions which you're telling others. And the most common example of that is, you give me an example. Tell me, give me the most common example of what we expect from others, but we're not willing to do ourselves.
Expect others to change.
Yes. We tell people that you should be different from what you are, but we are unable to be different from what we are. We tell other people that, this is so bad about you. You should not do it. But the fact that we are telling somebody that this is something so bad about them, isn't that something bad about us? We are not very good. We expect change from others, but we are not able to execute that change ourselves. We are attached. We are selfish. This is not so that we are in judgment of ourselves. Please don't now, we have enough troubles in life. Vedanta should not be one more trouble in life. Oh my God, I'm so selfish. Oh my God, I'm so attached. Oh my God, I'm not realize the self. It's not for that. Our recognition of our own weaknesses, vulnerabilities, difficulties are what makes us human enough to understand those that others are facing. It is not meant to look down on others. It is not meant to look down on ourselves. We are not holding either ourselves or anybody else up to some fantastic ideal of humanity. We understand that we are weak and vulnerable, and so is everyone else. And when we are behaving our worst, that's where we need the most support. Therefore, when other people are behaving their worst, that's where they need the support. That doesn't mean you make their problems worse. It just means that you are mentally supportive of it. Supportive means you don't have a mental resistance to it. That's what Christ said. Resist not evil. Means mentally don't resist it. For in another man's fate, I weep my own, said the good bishop. Another man's fate, I weep my own. No, that's Wordsworth, right? In another man's fate, I weep my own.
In another man's faith, I didn't hear the word.
I weep my own.
I weep.
So this is the state that Arjuna is currently. Okay? So you can see he thinks this knowledge is fantastic. He thinks Krishna is fantastic. He agrees with everything that is being said. He understands the transcendental realities, the all-pervading truth. He understands it. He's inspired by it. He thinks it's all fantastic. But he's still a child talking about adult life. He's not an adult yet. So you'll see that. So you'll see in verse 14. Let us do 14. He says, Sarvam Rutam Manye. I think all that you have told me is the truth. Isn't that how we look at Vedanta? Sarvam Rutam Manye. Everything you tell me is the truth. And it is. But what good is it to me? It is the truth, but I am not there. So let's do verse 14. I hope everyone is clear about the stage of the journey that is being represented at this time in the text, which is the time where people are inspired with the knowledge, agree with the knowledge, are willing to do stuff for the knowledge, but have not changed themselves. That's the stage Arjuna is right now. Okay, so you will read now all these verses. We sort of just run through, because once you get the basic idea, you know what he's carrying on about, and you know why Krishna will start with the word Hanta. Alas, because listen to his question. I mean, at the end of all this, he'll have a question, which is, as you see, many people, especially when they first come to class, they will have 2 pages, and then there will be some question at the end of it. They can't just tell you their question, because sometimes they are very inspired with the knowledge. That's why. Okay, so let's do verse 14. It's so far clear, right? Anyone has any doubts up to this point? Anyone is new today and isn't clear about what we have just done? Let me see. Is there a new name here? Anyone is new?
I am new, but I'm okay.
Oh, who's
Rosie.
this? Rosie. Oh yeah. Hari Om, Rosie. Welcome to the class.
Thank you.
You're okay. Yeah, you're okay. Naturally, you're learning from the master himself. Okay, so we are good, right? Nobody else is new, right, today? All right, so let's do verse 14. Rosie, we are on chapter 10 of verse 14 of the Bhagavad Gita. Sarvam etadrutam manye yanmam vadasi keshava nahi te bhagavan vyaktim vidurdevana danavaha sarvam etadrutam manye yanmam vadasi keshava nahi te bhagavan vyaktim vidurdevana danavaha. Exactly how we feel. Sarvam etat rutam manye. All that you're telling me, rutam manye, I think it is the truth. Now this word rutam is a very, very, very interesting word. It rutam comes, you know the Hindi word rutu. It sort of comes from there, and it derives from way back from the Vedas. It is now you'd use, if you want to say truth nowadays, you'd probably use a word like satyam. So you say sarvam etat satyam manye. Manye means I think. So satyam manye, I think you are telling me the truth. But he doesn't say that. He uses the word rutam. It is a very interesting word, because rutam refers to order. It comes from the Vedas, and there is actually a god for order in the Vedas, and his name is Varuna. Through a passage of time, of course, these gods have changed, and now Varuna has become merely a god of the ocean or something like that. But in the Vedas, Varuna was a very frightening god. He's not even spoken about a lot because he's very frightening. And what does he represent? He is the ruler of order. Order in the sense of all the patterns that get repeated in nature over and over again, including the law of karma. So he's supposed to be the god of that. So if you do any nonsense, he will sort you out. So that pattern, or more than pattern, let us call it cause and effect, that is taking place. And that's where the word ritu means seasons. Seasons comes from the same concept of order. That order will go on. Nature has its own order, and there's nothing we can do about that. If you put oxygen and hydrogen together, it will create water, and there is nothing in the world you can do about that. Human beings are meant to align themselves with that order. If you try to do something other than that order, you will meet the backlash, obviously. Like, in other words, fire burns. If you put your hand in the fire, you will get burnt. Call it backlash or call it whatever you will. You can't violate these laws. So that's what he's saying. I find everything that you are saying in order, in that sense. What you're saying is correct. What you're saying is true. Everything that you have told me is correct, is true. It's right. Sarvam, all of it. Sarva means all. Sarvam etat, all this. Rutam manne. It is all in order. There's nothing improper in what you have told me. Yanmam vadasi Keshava. What you have told me, O Keshava. Keshava comes from 3 words. Ka, A, and Isha. Ka, A, Isha means, can be taken to mean Brahma, Vishnu, Maheshwara. Very interesting word, Keshav. There's very many ways, of course, to break it. As you know, the interesting part of Sanskrit language is you can do a lot of things with the etymology of words. So one way of breaking up Keshava is Ka, A, Isha, which means Brahma, Vishnu, Maheshwara, which, remember, refers back to the order, because there's an order for creation, maintenance, and destruction. Brahma, Vishnu, Maheshwara. Brahma is the god of creation, Vishnu is the god of maintenance, and Maheshwara is the god of destruction. So there's an order. There are ways things happen. Every being that is born must die. Every day that the sun rises must set. This is the nature of life. Every being stretches its arms towards freedom, and no being likes to be trapped or entrapped by anything. This is its nature, it's the inherent nature. That is why sometimes there's a lot of quarrel between parent and child, because the parent wants to care, wants to hold, but the child wants its freedom. So that's the tussle between parent and child. The child wants to say, let me live my life my way. The parent is concerned, is caring, saying, don't do this, don't do this, don't do this, don't do that. You'll get into trouble, you get into trouble. We did stupid things, we got into trouble. Now it's their chance to do stupid things and get into trouble. There's nothing you can do about it. Even leaders of organizations, or not even your maid at home. You tell her, do this, she doesn't like it. So every time we give anybody an instruction of any sort, we must be able to appreciate the fact that we're doing something which is in violation to their nature. So reduce instructions as much as possible. As much as possible. That is the great standard of Vedanta. Have you noticed there are no instructions in Vedanta? Because it's a violation of human individuality, a violation of human freedom. So those who are imbued with Vedanta very rarely tell somebody else what to do. And if they do, then you should take heed, because they are seeing something you're not. That's why, they say the guru says something to you, be very careful. Because the rule is they will not say it. And if they do say it, be careful. Vedanta, doesn't give any instructions. So each thing has its own way of functioning. Every being has its own way. It wants to do things in its way. Every object, every being has a beginning, has an end. There is a rutam in this. There is an order in this. And that order will be maintained. You do what you want, it will be maintained. Like how, our body also, that order is maintained. Now, you put your hand, you are going to cold water, you're going to warm water, electricity comes, goes, there's heat, there's cold, there's all these fluctuations of temperature happening. And yet your body maintains the same temperature. It does its stuff. This is the rutam that is being maintained. And when you see all the order that is maintained, it's an indication of, it is a remembrance of that great divinity, which is the substratum of this order. So, in order, when things are the way they should be, and they always are, you remember the divine. So he says, whatever you have told me, it's in order, O Keshava. The very world, its creation, maintenance, destruction, it is all functioning according to that order. Sarvam Rutam Manye. I think of it all as being in order. Nahi Bhagavan Vyaktim. O Bhagavan, O God, your Vyaktim, your manifestation, na vidu, devaha, na danavaha. And this great order cannot be known. The whole picture cannot be known by the devaha. Devaha refers to the gods, and danavaha are the demons. Neither the best in the world nor the worst in the world will understand the full scope of that divinity. Your vyaktim, your very manifestation, your expression in the world cannot be known. So I understand what you're telling me is true. I also understand that it cannot be known. I hope you're able to see the contradiction of this. I think what you're saying is true, but neither the gods nor the demons understand any of this. In other words, who will understand this?
Self-realized.
Only the self-realized.
Very good. Only the enlightened people can understand what is the whole picture of these things. Remember that when we are in a conditioned state, where is Salil? He was asking that question that day. When we are in a conditioned state, we cannot possibly know what it means to be unconditioned. If I wear pink glasses, okay, I only wear pink glasses. I've never in my life, my whole life, taken them out. And I've worn pink glasses. With my pink glasses, how will I know how the world looks without them? Similarly, I have seen this world only through my own mind and intellect. How will I know how it appears without them? Everything I am seeing from my personal lens. I have no way of knowing how it is when that lens is removed. If I were to remove the mind and intellect, what would I see? Impossible. So, from a conditioned state, you can never know the unconditioned. So that's what he's saying. Na vidu deva na danavaha. Not the best, not the worst can ever know. Bhagavan. Bhagavan, by the way, is somebody who has the 6 bhavas. Prosperity, dispassion, virtue, renown, glory, wisdom. I need to go into that, but that's the derivation of the term. You have the 6 bhavas, so you are referred to as Bhagavan. Okay, is verse 14 clear? Does anyone have a question on verse 14? Only on verse 14, nothing else. All these verses are very easy because Arjuna is saying them. He's saying them out of inspiration, and he, Bichara, himself doesn't understand what he's saying. So they are quite easy verses. So, okay, shall we move on? Anyone has a question? If you have a question, switch on your video so that I know that you have a question. Bharat, did you have a question?
Just a clarification on the word manifestation. Why does he say the gods, not demons, know your manifestations? I mean, we see the manifestation of God as nature, right?
Everything that is not the self is a manifestation of nature. So the gods also don't know it. So if you take it as the literal gods, I mean, this word in Sanskrit, devaha, comes from many derivations. One of the derivation is illuminator. Okay, so the word deva can be taken as the illuminator. When it's taken in the sense of illuminator, then what illumines the world are your senses. The word deva can also be taken as the natural forces that run the universe, such as rain god and wind god and I don't know, sun god and all the sort of story. So your senses cannot know the Lord, and these phenomenal powers like rain and sun and fire and whatever, wealth and knowledge, they also cannot know the world. You cannot know it like that. So whichever etymology you use, there is nothing in this world that can know the full thing. So like for instance, the rain god cannot understand what is the heat god, right? Or the dry god, whatever is the opposite. So sun god, for instance, cannot understand.
Moon.
The moon god.
No, moon and sun may
Night.
Yeah. The sun god doesn't understand darkness. How will he know what darkness is? So the phenomenal powers, anyway, the phenomenal powers don't understand each other. So the gods cannot understand. Gods, you can also take it in the sense of the good people, the best people. I took it in the sense of the best people. So no matter how close you are to realization or how good you are, you still cannot know it until you are realized. So, these kind of texts are so deep, and you can like each word sort of take in different senses, and you keep doing that, then what happens is the flow of thought is lost. So often speakers just pick on one meaning and take it so that at least the flow of thought is clear. Are you okay with this, Bharat?
Yes, thank you.
All right. So, okay.
There's a question in the chat.
Why God are called as Bhagavan? Bhagavan comes from the word bhava. Bhava means qualities or aspects. So anybody who has these aspects is God. What are these? They must have glory. They must have renown. They must have dispassion. They must have wisdom. Okay, they have to have what else was it? Aishwarya. So if you have all of these, then you're Bhagavan. So see, Vishnu has all that. He has Aishwarya. His wife is Lakshmi. For most people, wife is an expense column, right? But for him, his wife is Lakshmi. So he has Aishwarya. In other words, she can spend all the money she wants, and his money never reduces because she herself is Lakshmi. So he's got Aishwarya, he's got renown. The whole world knows him. That time, everybody knows Vishnu. He has Aishwarya, renown, glory. That's why you see him in a crown to indicate that he is glorious. He has wisdom. He has wisdom means you get what you will deserve from him. You can't go to him and say, "Oh God, I love you so much. So now, therefore, you just break a few rules for me." He won't. He has wisdom. He has dispassion. If you hate him, he doesn't hate you. So he has all these bhavas. When you have all these bhavas, when you have these 6 bhavas, you're known as Bhagavan. So you will find that many people are referred to as Bhagavan. In India, this whole concept of God is slightly different from a Western concept. The Western concept is that there is one God and he is different from all of us. And we are sort of supposed to pray to him and he will redeem us. So that's kind of the pattern. Here it's not like that. Here is everything is God. There are a million gods. Everything is God. You are God. I am God. The Hindu concept never divides God from anything else. Everything is God. So you can refer to anybody as Bhagavan. There is no there's no reason to stop. You can be referred to like that. And many sages call people also Bhagavan. They refer to them. They talk like that. Because everything is God. You can refer to anything as God. Ayavu. Ayavu, I don't think I've ever seen you. Where are you? Are you there? Are you okay, Ayavu? Am I calling you with the right name? Yeah? Are you okay? Okay, Salil, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, so I had this conversation with the resort people, the retreat people. Can you hear me?
Very
Can you,
diffused. Can you write on the chat whatever you're saying?
Am I audible now?
Yes.
Yeah, so just sharing that I was speaking to the resort people where we are having a retreat regarding accommodation.
Mm-hmm.
So every time I used to speak to them, they used to address me as Prabhu.
Yeah. So yeah. So in India, everybody is Prabhu. That is not an unusual thing.
And one more question, Janki ji. You earlier said that from a state of conditioning, we cannot infer the unconditioned.
Mm-hmm. We
But
cannot know the unconditioned.
Yeah, so but our conditioning is not our conditioning, what we have been told, what we have heard, what we have experienced. So, so that conditioning or to know that we are that repeatedly or, to be, will that not lead us to know the unconditioned?
Yes, but it is like which something you may have heard often in scriptural studies. It's like an onion. There are many layers of conditioning. There is a conditioning that you received as a child, by which you are today a Hindu, by which today you have some views. Somebody else is a Christian, somebody else is a Mohammedan, somebody else is whatever they are. So they receive that conditioning as a child. Then there is, of course, the language you speak, the dress you wear, all that you have received as conditioning as a child. Then you try to be objective towards that. Then you come to the next level of conditioning and next, and you keep on removing. Then you remove the conditioning that you're the body. Then you remove the conditioning that you are the mind. Then you remove the conditioning that you're the intellect. The whole thing is conditioning. If you are not the self, then whatever you think you are is a conditioning. So it is the whole lot. Is that clear? So it's like an onion, you keep on deconditioning, Deconditioning means what? You become more and more objective in life. But no matter how objective you are, there's still an invisible ceiling over you. And though you become more and more until you hit realization, it's only a difference of degree between us and any other conditioned person.
Yeah, so actually, what I wanted to say was, my earlier, when I had the earlier questions, you told me that it is the way you look at things from different planes of consciousness. Like one of my questions was that in our class, Vedanta class, we were told that we are BMI plus Atman, but we are also told that we are not the BMI, we are just the Atman. And you said that it's from a different plane of consciousness. But should we not be learning from that plane of consciousness only rather than?
Think it through what you're saying, Salil. If you are in the fourth plane of consciousness, what is there to learn?
No, I mean, why are we not being told that we are not the BMI, we are just the Atma, so that we can then contemplate or reflect upon that only rather than being associated with the BMI?
Yeah, if you can do that, great. But 9 out of 10 people won't be able to do that. Most people will falter. They will go crazy trying to do it, or they will misunderstand it. If we don't take our journey step by step by step, then if we are not grounded in our journey and we don't go about it in a methodical manner, fall is preeminent. But Salil, now that is going off what is our current topic.
Okay, thank you. Yeah.
Mahesh, is it bhagas or bhagas? It's bhavas, we. Okay, anything else? All right, then let's go to the next verse. Verse 15. Svayamevātmanātmānam vetthatvam puruṣottama bhūtabhāvana bhūtesha deva jagatpate svayamevātmanātmānam vetthatvam puruṣottama bhūtabhāvana bhūtesha deva jagatpate swayam eva atmanam vetya. You know yourself by yourself. Or who else will know the self? Only the self knows itself. Tvam purushottama. Oh, the uttama among the purushas. You are the best because you know who you really are. Bhuta bhavana, bhutesha. Bhuta bhavana, from you have all the bhutas come. You are the source of all the beings. Bhutesha, you are the Lord of beings. Deva Jagatpate. O God of gods, O ruler of the world. It is just outflowing of emotion on the part of Arjuna, where he exhorts Krishna. You know yourself by yourself because I cannot know you through the body, mind, and intellect. Only the self will know itself. In other words, you do not need the dreamer's equipments to know the waker. Imagine that you are sleeping, you are dreaming, and your guru in your dream tells you that you're not that person, whoever you are as the dreamer, but you are the waker. And he tells you, you will only know the waker when you lose the body, mind, intellect of the dream. To which you as the dreamer have this question. If I don't have my body, mind, intellect, how will I know the waker? You're able to understand that, right? Suppose Momita has gone to sleep and she dreams that she dreams that she's, what is her name? Kate.
Sushmita.
Huh?
Sushmita.
Shushmita. Okay. Okay, she dreams. I'm trying to find somebody that everybody knows. Kate Middleton. Kate Middleton, no? What is her name?
Right.
Right.
Yes.
Okay. So she thinks that she is Kate Middleton. Momita, you know Kate Middleton, right? Okay, so Kate Middleton is the wife of Prince Charles' son, whose name I have now forgotten. But she dreams she is Kate Middleton.
Prince Williams.
What's his name?
Prince Williams.
William, yeah. William's wife is Kate. So she thinks she is Kate. In the dream, all this is happening in the dream. Okay, she's gone to sleep. Momita has gone to sleep. And she thinks of herself as Kate. Now, Kate meets a guru in the dream and tells Kate that you're not Kate, you're Momita. So Kate says, how is that possible? I am Kate. Don't you see my husband William? Don't you see my mother-in-law? What is her name? Elizabeth. Don't you see all these people? Why are you telling me I am not what I am? Can't you see them? Only I see my husband. You don't see my husband. The guru starts explaining and explaining and explaining. He says, neither there is Prince William, nor there is Queen Elizabeth, nor is there Charles, nor Camilla, nor Kate. Actually, this is all Momita. Kate says, over a period of time, maybe she believes the teacher. She comes to Arjuna's state as he is now. So then she says, so you mean at one stage, all of these will disappear? The Guru says, yes. And you mean that my body, mind, intellect will also disappear? And the Guru says, yes. Then she has a question for him. She says, if I don't even have a body, mind, intellect, how will I know anything? She'll have a valid point, right? All that she has experienced in the dream, this Kate, all that Kate has experienced has been through her body, mind, intellect. Now, if she doesn't have a body, mind, intellect, how is she supposed to experience anything? So the Guru in the dream will say, what? Don't worry. You do not need the body, mind, and intellect of Kate to know Momita. When the body, mind, intellect of Kate is gone, what remains is Momita. So similarly, when Momita's body, mind, and intellect will go, what remains is the self. So what he's saying now is Swayam Atmanam Veta. By yourself, you know yourself. In other words, this body, mind, intellect means my perception, emotion, and thought will not help me understand. I cannot understand the fourth plane of consciousness from the conditioning of my third plane of consciousness, which means third plane of consciousness means waking state. Second plane is dream state, and first plane is deep sleep. So there are four states: deep sleep, dream, waking, and the fourth. It's just called the fourth because we don't know what it is. We'll call it fourth. So from third state, we cannot know fourth state, just as from the second, which means dream, we cannot know the waking state. Okay. Momita, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, I was reminded of this hymn, Amazing Grace. Is that
Yeah, Amazing Grace is Arjuna's thing at the moment. Amazing Grace, what? Amazing Grace. Yeah, so all of that is basically the inspiration of it that saved a wretch like me, right?
Yeah.
So at that stage, you believe you're saved. But as long as you're calling yourself a wretch, you're not saved because you're still identifying with this body, mind, intellect. But yes, that's the inspiration that, you go to the church and you go to anywhere. You go to the dargah or the church or the temple, and that inspiration that, you say Om Jaya Jagadisha Hare, or you say Amazing Grace. What is this fantastic grace that has landed on me, by which now I can see something that I didn't see before. All of that is the inspiration of it. It is useful for us on our path because that kind of thing keeps us going on the path. But conversion is a different thing. That is why when you hear people, when they tell you, I did some religion or the other, and then I was this, I became this. And all the people who talk like that, they were criminals and they became normal, or they were alcoholics and they became non-alcoholics. They talk like that. You will always hear that, even if you hear St. Paul, what was he and then what did he become with the grace of Christ? So everywhere they only understand that much. I mean, they understand it, of course. They're great people and they probably went ahead in their journey. But the thing is, their representation of the journey is you are some kind of wicked bad person and you became a good person. Which is correct. Of course, we have to do that. But that's only the initial stages. The conception of Vedanta is that you reach divinity, which is incidentally also the conception of all religions, not just Vedanta. Because when the Christian tells you have to reach eternal paradise, what is eternal? Only the state of the self. So it's not a singular conception of Vedanta and nobody else has it. They all have it, but when people represent it, it becomes a more gross representation. But so the important thing in this is we do what inspires us. We don't need to worry about anything other than the fact that we are inspired enough to do what we need to do, which is the next step for us. That's the only important thing for us. Ayahu. In this verse, the term God of gods used. Why use capital G for God and small letter for gods? Any significance in use? Yes, Ayahu. Ayahu, I'm answering all your questions, but you're not answering any of mine. Not fair. Yes, there is a significance in it. God of gods means he is the God of the gods. In small g, it refers to gods, as we discussed, either as illuminators or as the phenomenal powers. Now, phenomenal powers, suppose let's take that one. Suppose we take the phenomenal powers. So who are these small g gods? Small g gods are Lakshmi, Saraswati, Hanuman. Where is Rosie? Rosie, are you familiar with these gods? Saraswati is the god of knowledge. Yeah, you're familiar. Goddess of knowledge. Lakshmi is the goddess of... Somebody else also said they were from Canada, no? If I say anything that is not clear, please indicate it so I know that that bit has to be explained, okay? Because it's now, people are here from all over and it's very difficult to keep track of who probably knows what. So if I don't explain it, feel free to say, what on earth are you talking about? So gods, the small gods, are Lakshmi, Saraswati, Hanuman, and all of them. In India, everything is a god. People tree is a god, Tulsi plant is a god, everything is a god. Money is a god, knowledge is a god, strength, Hanuman is a god. what other gods do we have? Everything over here is a god. So these are all the multiple manifestations. Now, God of gods means the unmanifest, means Brahman. So you are Brahman. You are that which is beyond all these phenomenal powers of the world. So small g means all the phenomenal powers of the world. Sun, God, rain, God, wealth, knowledge, all the phenomenal powers. And God of gods is Brahman, the unmanifest. These things, all these things in the world are called God because they are a manifestation of that ultimate God. Just as imagine the dream, everything in the dream is a manifestation of the waker's mind, right? So let's go back to our example of Momita's dream. She's dreaming she's Kate Middleton. Okay, so that Kate Middleton is a manifestation of Momita's mind. Prince Charles is a manifestation of Momita's mind. If she sees the sun and the moon and the rain and whatever in the world she sees, it's a manifestation of the mind. Everything is a manifestation of the mind. So the guru in the dream can refer to all of this as Momita's mind. And Momita then would become the Momita of the Momita's mind. Rosie, are you getting a headache? Don't worry. It is a complicated thing. Until you get the hang of it, then it's like a little bit of a riddle.
Janki ji,
Okay. Yeah, Naim.
so just as we have all these small g's and we have the one capital G, Brahman, so it's quite evident that Vedanta and Hinduism both are purely monoistic, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's what I just wanted to confirm.
Yeah, except that they don't refer to themselves as monoistic. Firstly, Hinduism, let's not talk about, because Hinduism is everything. But Hinduism, one very nice example that Swamiji has given is there are specialized hospitals, right? There's a kidney hospital or an eye hospital or something like that. So the other religions are specialized in something. Yeah, and Hinduism is like a general hospital, all your diseases. So if you have kidney also, you have eye ailments or whatever. So it is a very nice example to explain that Hinduism is like an umbrella term for every concept you can have. Like any concept, from the grossest concepts to the subtlest concepts, Hinduism is like an umbrella term. But when it comes to Vedanta, then Vedanta doesn't, so that means Hinduism can have Dvaita, can have Vishishta Dvaita, can have any form of thought. Have a personal God, impersonal God, like just anything. Can have violent gods also. Can have anything. When it comes to Vedanta, Vedanta doesn't refer to itself as a monotheistic religion for the simple reason that
We are the self.
yes, because the moment you say mono, the concept is that there is a possibility of duality. Because the concept of one can only exist if there are two. So Naim, Vedanta calls itself a Dvaita, not dualism. Unnecessary complication, I could have just said yes, no? Do you? Are you okay, Naim?
Yeah, it's interesting, Janki ji. Thank you.
Janki ji,
Yes, Reshma.
is there any philosophical significance of having dreams?
Of having dreams. The reason we have a dream is because we have undigested thoughts, and these find their manifestation in the dream. So you have a thought that did not complete in the waking state, then it will come forth as some garbled stuff in the dream state. Like all these uncompleted thoughts will come together. Like, for instance, suppose you had a question in class and you were not able to answer it. And then your mother was telling you, have your khichdi, you don't eat khichdi. And you want to tell her that, no, I don't want to eat khichdi. Don't keep giving me khichdi. And then at work, your boss said to you something about, these, I don't know why nowadays these cups and saucers are not clean, and you want to tell them, but that's not my job. And you never actually said all of this, but all these undigested things are just floating around in your head. And then you were coming back home, and then you saw like 4 elephants on the road, and you're like, oh hell, what are 4 elephants doing here? And before you could say anything, think about that, some other thought came to you. Now all this thing will happen. Then at night you could dream that an elephant is in class drinking some tea and asking a question. All the things are garbled and become something because of all these unmanifested thoughts. So you can say, in other words, it is nature's mechanism to get rid of it. Just forget about it. Doesn't matter. It's finished. It's gone. Only time you worry about your dreams is you give your dreams any importance is if you have a repetitive dream of something you are not doing. That's the only time you worry about it, because that means you're not living up to your Swadharma. Like suppose I teach, I am involved in Vedanta, and I have dreams of my being a physicist, for instance. Then I have to accept. Or if I'm a physicist and I dream constantly and repetitively, not once or twice, constantly, repetitively dream of teaching Vedanta, then I'm not in my spot. So that's it. Bharat has
Just one last point, if I could complete that. So this, what is happening in the dream state, is it possible it's also happening in the waking state? Like a repetitive thought about something we're not doing?
I mean, repetitive thoughts in the waking state is like normal. Everybody has that. But that's not the significance of not being in Swadharma. Repetitive thoughts, our whole life is we're repeating thoughts over and over again and making a mess of the whole thing. It's in the dream if it comes.
Okay, thank you.
Janki ji, I have a very
sorry?
Please. I have a very different question, please.
Okay.
This is Dilip. I have been in hospital for 6 hours a day for 2 years, every alternate day. But I have been smiling and happily. So yesterday, the person there in the hospital asked me a question: why should our children be taught Gita from 6th standard? Please explain to me in very simpler way.
So are you asking me why should they be taught?
Yes, from 6th standard. I was not able to explain to him, though I spend nearly 6 hours every alternate day in the hospital.
Yes, well, why should we learn the Gita is
still
like
smiling,
asking, but why should you learn the Gita is like asking
from 6th standard on.
Yeah. It's like asking that I'm giving somebody an equipment and I'm not telling the person what to do with that equipment. So if I give the world's best computer and a person doesn't know how to use the computer, what use is the computer to him? So similarly, we have the world's best equipment and we don't know how to use it. So we don't have a manual for living. Either you don't use it well, or in its use, you damage it. These are the two things that we do. That's why you study. But should you teach the Bhagavad Gita in the 6th standard? You ask me that, my answer is no. My answer is no, because who is supposed to teach? Until we have the Vedanta University, if they start teaching, then who's teaching them? And how do we even know that they're teaching them properly? Should we teach Quran from 6th standard? Should we teach Christianity from 6th? Of course we should. But who's teaching is the question, because who is teaching is going to make the difference. So yes, of course we should teach children religion, but who's teaching? Biggest question. Who is teaching? So yes, children should be taught, but at the moment we don't have the people to teach. We don't have sufficient people to teach it. So usually when they teach something which ought not to have been taught in the first place. So that's my 2-bit.